Alright, it's Jake Mace, the vegan athlete, and today we're going to talk about composting in your backyard. And one of the ways that I do this is with my tumbler. I got these tumblers, which are about 200-gallon compost tumblers. I got them off Craigslist. This one was $75. I got another one just like it that was $50, and the last one was $90. They retail for about $400 to $500 plus shipping online, but I mean, I got them from $50 to $90 by checking on Craigslist, and they're used so I don't have to bring new materials into the world because somebody out there doesn't want it, I want it. So what I do is I take this compost tumbler, I pop the tabs off, remove the lid, and then you can see inside there. I'll give you guys a close-up. I just started filling this one yesterday, and it's got a bunch of apples, it's got wood chips. I threw a little bit of leftover compost I wasn't using to activate it. I also got some sweet potatoes, some hay, also some pine shavings, so a good about 70% carbon mix, maybe 30% nitrogen mix. And so I got 70% or so, maybe 60 to 70% browns, 40 to 30% greens. And so let's add some stuff to it today. So what I got is I got a relationship in town with a local organic produce company that supplies organic produce to restaurants and consumers, individuals around town. And they give me all their overflow or their bad produce that they can't sell. But I'm telling you, this stuff is really good. I mean, just today they gave me a whole box of cucumbers. And I mean, these look like perfectly good cucumbers. They might just have one little blemish in them. And so what I might do is break off half, give half to my chickens, half to my tortoise, or just use the whole lot of them in my composter. So I'll save this guy for Leo the tortoise. I'll take the rest of these cucumbers and we're gonna dump them in. I mean, if you guys look at these cucumbers, they're organic, perfectly fine cucumbers. So not only am I using the produce that they would have thrown away anyways, but also I'm making soil organically, not just organically in terms of no pesticides, but it's organic produce that's fueling my dirt. So it's really healthy, good for the planet, and a good way till I can reuse things that would have gone into landfill anyways. Next, what I've got here as a key part to the compost is I've got my overflow. So you can see I have one composter here. I'll show you how it turns in a second. I've got a second composter over here and a third one over here. I've always got one composter, one tumbler that's almost ready, and that's that one. This one's in the middle stage. I left the door open there. And this one's I just started yesterday. So they're all in 3 different stages. That way I've always got fresh compost that I can stir into my raised beds. Now this one is the overflow because what happens is that the produce company I have a relationship with that gives me all their leftover produce, they give me so much that I can't use it all. I don't want to waste it. I don't want to tell them I can't use it because I'm afraid if I tell them I don't want it, they'll forget about giving it to me and they'll give it to somebody else. So I always take it and I fill up the overflow here when I get extra. And then let's say this tumbler is ready to be used. I can use all the soil, all the compost, put it in my raised beds, and then I can fill it right back up immediately with the overflow pile, which is just constructed out of cinder blocks that I got for free on a Mayo Clinic classified ad. Somebody had these cinder blocks for free. So this is a really cheap, free, and eco-friendly way to do your compost, and I try to layer it like a lasagna or a cake. Wood chips, produce, wood chips, produce, back and forth. I might even throw in some rock dust, gypsum, or other compost in there. And I think 3 days ago, this was up about this high, and now it's cooked down about a foot in the last 2 days. So let's fill up the overflow here with a little bit of produce. So what I got in here, this one is, let's see, it's kind of like a mystery. Oh, we got some good stuff. See, the thing about this produce company is they sometimes give me good things like portobello mushrooms. And mushrooms are one of the best things I can add to my compost, so that's gonna go in there. So I'm going to show you here what I just put inside. That one bag of compost, it had some organic green beans, kale, it had yams, apples, it had mushrooms, both regular style mushrooms and just a ton of portobello mushrooms that would have been thrown away. Had some onions, and the only thing that stinks about it, literally and figuratively, is when they leave these tags on, I have to unscrew them all, and it's kind of labor intensive, but you know, it takes a second. I take the tags and I throw them in the trash, and then everything's okay. So now you see how I've kind of layered it like a cake. We got a whole lasagna or a cake of apples, yams, green beans, kale, portobello and regular mushrooms, onions, banana peels. See the banana peels in there. And what I do, because I don't want it to stink, but the cool thing about it is that my back fence here opens up to a trashway. It's a little bit of a buffer for my neighbors, but I want it to be pretty neutral. So we mix in a bunch of wood chips as the second layer. We layer back and forth, wood chips, produce, wood chips, produce. And these wood chips are also a free resource. We have a local tree company who delivers wood chips to us for free, and our entire yard is covered in wood chips. We've had about 7 semi-truck full loads full of wood chips so far. And all I do is I add the wood chips onto the top of the pile like so. Pretty much cover the every single bit of produce with wood chips, just enough to cover it, not too thick of a layer. I want just enough to cover the produce. And so it's gonna look kind of like this. What used to be produce is now wood chips. And then what I'll do is I'll take my hose and I'll spray it down. Hey, so now I'm gonna put some wood chips inside the compost tumbler as well. I'm also working on my breathing a breath in the clean air, and then holding it so none of the dust gets in my lungs. Then I take our lid and I throw our lid right back on. Lock it in. I take our handle here and I just begin to rotate. Now you guys can see the steam coming off of that pile. All the hay, wood chips, and produce is mixed together. And since I just put this pile in this compost tumbler yesterday, there's still a lot of bug life in there. There was a bunch of ants on the pile that I used. And so those ants are still in there eating away, but they will slowly leave once it gets hot and it cooks them out. You can see how we have little bugs like that guy and that guy. They're always in the in the compost, like the mealworm type guys. This will be really fine, nice compost that I can put into my garden. Okay, so I put one more layer of produce and then one more layer of wood chips. And now what I do is I turn the hose on it and I hose it down. When I'm working with the tumblers, I don't spray any water into them because they're an enclosed system and they tend to get their moisture from the produce I put in. But this guy that's out in the open with no enclosed system, we're in Tempe, Phoenix, Arizona, so it's very dry here and it tends to dry out really quick. So I always put as a finishing layer, a layer of water on top. And once I get it all nice and moist, then I throw my tarp back on top to try to keep a lot of the moisture in. And there you have it. That's how I've been composting, with a combination of carbons, 60 to 70%, nitrogens, 30 to 40%, all free, all organic, all from local sources. And I'm using a combination of a tumbler and overflow compost bin. And that way I got 3 200-gallon tumblers rolling out compost all the time. This is Jake Mace, the vegan athlete. I'll see you guys back here next time. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing, but if you guys are willing to watch and comment, I'm willing to get better. And Venus will help, right?